Hello, my name is Tyler and I am a sports psychologist and I am working with BS+COMPETITION with their sim drivers. Mental coaching goes a long way, and especially in sim racing where we think these boys are alone with a lot of their concentration moments. They have to go through long periods of training and really they're trying to focus in on such small details to make the overall maximum levels of success. So having mental coaching, we can work on things such as their concentration, build mechanisms, build good open conversations, which almost resets them so that every time that they go into their competition, they're trying to perform at their best and they're able to do that with maximum. Mental preparation in sim racing changes a little bit, especially in this format that we have currently with sim racing, where the boys have one-shot qualifying and opportunities like this. So you almost have to flip the switch sometimes to focus solely on a sole lap where you're trying to maximise every bit of performance. Whereas in other sports, maybe team sports, where there's more than one person kind of involved in the situation, we have to prepare slightly different, where we're looking at kind of the whole team and having each person have their own moments within that to be able to maximise their own performance. So slightly different, but we can still maximise performance greatly. Sim racers face a lot of challenges. There's really a lot of anxiety that goes into a lot of performance. Generally, this is something that we see a lot in all sports, but particularly in sim racing where these are the best of the best. There is such a fine line between invalidating laps and making laps. There's also such a fine line in the differences in times that actually anxiety plays a big part, and we have a lot of what if questions. What if I mess this up? So we use a lot of techniques and we use a lot of mental strategies to try and overcome this and try and prepare the boys as best as possible so that they can go into performance nice and confident, having lots of clarity in their performance and really just being able to produce what we all know they're capable of and what they know that they're capable of as well. In one of our sessions, how I personally like to work is we kind of have a brief recap of say the previous week, 2 weeks, however long we're meeting. Within this, we will kind of, identify how practice has been going, the overall training load. Are they feeling good about their performance? Are they looking forward to an upcoming track? Me personally, I like to get them to identify some strengths of the past couple of weeks and really focus on what's going well for them, because I feel like we don't do enough of that sometimes. We're quite quick to criticise, not enough to positive sometimes. So we do that. We will then kind of move on to maybe the bulk of the session where we're maybe looking at a specific technique or a specific situation scenario. We can maybe play these out through different techniques such as visualization, self-talk, kind of having a mantra, or in terms of anxiety management, stuff like that, we're looking at breathing techniques and really just being able to have a reset button, which is really important. And so we have that during the bulk of the session, and we will then kind of end the session around looking at how can we implement these things the most, because that's the most important thing. It's all well and good knowing something, but we've got to be able to implement it as much as possible into their environment, and that's been a learning curve for me, trying to understand their preparations and what they go through in the sim. So yeah, that's kind of how we go through a session. It is totally individual. So, everyone is different. Everyone has different upbringings, different backgrounds, different ways that they perceive that not only their own performance, but performance in general. And because of that, you then have to treat everyone individually. So within this, I like to get to know everyone at the start. I think it's really important to build connections and relationships with these people to understand maybe what they've been through in the past, how they've got to where they are with their performance. And then because of this, we are better able to understand them and actually produce our techniques in a slightly different way where it suits the person. So for example, some persons might not work well with relaxation techniques and applied relaxation. Some will, and others maybe have not had any exposure to this before. So being able to know the person, know how they're going to react to it, and then being able to fit their personality with it and how they like to train and perform, it's really important to the overall success of what we do as sports psychologists. I think when we're talking about qualifying, and particularly one-shot qualifying, the pressure is insurmountable. It feels a lot to the person. They can sometimes get overworked and kind of they start to think of what ifs and maybe push the limits too far. So it's about finding the right balance between having a really clear picture of what they want to achieve, having clarity on the corners and the way to take the track and everything like this. But from our perspective, it's about trying to get them to understand how they can be most relaxed and most prepared for the one-shot qualifying, what that pressure looks like to them, because everyone perceives pressure differently. And then ultimately, how can we get the maximum out of it? Is it that we're visualising the track? Is it that we're visualising corners? Are we focusing on different specifics within that? It's a unique format, but it's one that we've really embraced doing this year, and we've had some good success with that. For anyone who's aspiring to be a sim racer, I would say look after your mental side just as much as your physical side. There is obviously skill factors that come into this, and to be the best, you ultimately need to have those skill elements. But what's also really important is the mental side of performance. Now for me, it's a 50-50 between skill and mental. You've got to have the mental resilience to be able to deal with setbacks, not have a fear of failure, because that's something that really holds us back sometimes, is that we don't produce our maximum because of the what ifs and the what might happen. So for this, it's really important. And for any aspiring sim racers, I would definitely say invest in your mental resilience, invest in your mental skills, find someone that can help you with that, because that's really important. And really try and utilise everyone that's at your disposal, in your disposal as much as possible, so that you can achieve and be where you want to be, like these guys here.